President Biden would not pick up and go to meet with any other leader in the world without an agenda. That simply doesn't happen.
Right.
So what makes the U.S. think that they can engage African leaders without an agenda? Come to Washington, let me tell you what I want to do for you. Come to Washington, let me tell you what you need to do in your country. That game is an old game.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, welcome again to the analysis of Yoleno TV. I'm glad you're well from wherever you're watching this channel. And once again, I'd like to say thank you so much for those who've been supporting Yoleno TV. So now, former Chief Justice, that is the first Chief Justice under the 2010 Constitution, that is William Tunga. William Tunga says that USA has a secret plan, secret mission in meeting the presidents to give President Ruto and others imperial economic, social, and political orders.
The United States is signing a historic memorandum of understanding with the new African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat. This MOU will unlock new opportunities for trade and investment between our countries and bring Africa and the United States even closer than ever. We're finally implementing the African Continental Free Trade Area. It will represent one of the largest free trade areas in the world, 1.3 billion people, and a continent-wide market totaling $3.4 trillion. Today, the Millennium Challenge Corporation signed its first ever regional transport compact with the governments of Benin and Niger. This compact will invest $500 million to build and maintain roads, put in place policies that reduce transportation costs, making it easier and faster for ships to ship goods from the port of Cotonou to neighboring landlocked countries.
According to William Tunga, US wants to use leaders summit to benefit herself on all fronts. I think this is, from what I gather, previously before China dominated Africa, US was the country that used to sustain most of the projects in Africa. But then they took some kind of backseat. Because of that reason, most African countries decided to go Chinese way because they found out that the products that the US were giving to Africa were very expensive. If I may take you back a bit to the days when smartphones were being introduced into Africa, so smartphones were very expensive. It was very hard for the common mwananchi to afford. So then Chinese came with affordable products which saw literally all citizens afford them. So I think, again, looking at the projects that the US used to do here in Kenya, for example, then you find that these projects were very expensive, and then US always had sanctions. So these reasons are the reasons why most African countries decided, no, let's go the Chinese way, because Chinese were financing African countries, and then most of the products or most of the projects were very affordable too. And the second point was that there were no sanctions from the Chinese. I think this is the reason why Chinese dominated Africa. So again, another problem that made US lose focus in Africa is because of the Trump policies. So when Trump came into power, he said that the most important thing was America first. So the reason why US President Joe Biden had decided to call almost all the 49 leaders in White House is because of this global threat by the Chinese. So in summary, US is using the US-African Summit to push its military agenda and find a way of containing the Chinese development agenda in the sub-Saharan Africa. Personally, the Trump policies, like I said, allowed Chinese to dominate Africa because those Trump policies revolved around America first. It was America first, and that Africa would come last. That policy allowed African countries to establish good relationships with Chinese. So if you look at the findings, the previous findings, or the findings of the previous regime, I think Chinese are almost 4 times what the US funded in Africa. So maybe I might attribute Bill Gates' recent trip to Africa to have been awakening call on this US government that, look here, if you people still keep on sleeping, then I think Chinese will take over the whole of Africa. So I think that's why that delegation by the Bill Gates, and then this call by the US president. So this is the reason why William Mutunga is exposing the finer details that most people did not know. The US has both underdevelopment and military agendas. Such meetings are for giving our leaders imperial economic, social, and political orders. That was in response to what Ahmed Nasir tweeted, that 55 billion for 50 cents over 3 years period. What a joke. This is what the President Biden has promised African presidents in the US African Leaders Summit. Let us get it right, people. America, other than superpower patronage, has no development agenda for Africa. It never had. It never will. I think that Ahmed Nasir is trying to differ with what the president, that is William Samoei Ruto, is trying to advocate for. That is the US African agenda. So, ladies and gentlemen, kindly share your thoughts up below the comment section. Do you think William Mutunga is telling the truth? Kindly share your thoughts up below the comment section. Once again, I'd like to urge any visitor who has not subscribed to Yolena TV to please consider subscribing to Yolena TV. Once again, I'd like to say thank you so much for those who have been supporting Yolena TV. And may you stay safe, stay blessed until we catch up again in our next analysis.